My brothers and sisters, imagine being handed a treasure so priceless that no amount of gold or silver could ever match its worth. Imagine holding in your arms a gift so pure, so delicate, yet so powerful that it can change your life, your future, and even generations to come. That treasure is a child. A child is not just a little soul in your care, but a trust, a blessing, and a living reminder that the Almighty still believes in you enough to place this responsibility upon your shoulders. If you truly understood the value of this gift, you would never see them as a burden. You would see them as the doorway to love, legacy, and lasting impact. Every child arrives in this world with a unique story written for them, and we are invited to be part of that story. We do not write the script, but we help shape the environment in which it unfolds. A child may grow to be a leader, a thinker, a healer, or a guide. They may become the hand that lifts others from darkness, or the voice that spreads wisdom. When you look into their eyes, do not underestimate the greatness that lies within them. Every soul is created with purpose, and every child carries potential far beyond what we see. One of the greatest mistakes we can make is to reduce children to numbers, to grades, or to comparisons. Too often, parents look at someone else's child and say, "Why are you not like them?" Forgetting that each child is a different seed, destined to bloom in its own season. An apple tree will never bear grapes, nor will a rose bush produce oranges. Each has its own beauty, its own fragrance, its own value. When we compare, we kill motivation, we plant doubt, and we crush individuality. But when we recognize and honor uniqueness, we open the door for greatness to shine. A child is also a reminder of purity. Look at the way they forgive. They may cry when wronged, but moments later they return smiling, wanting to play again. They do not hold grudges. They do not calculate revenge. They do not carry burdens of the past. This innocence is something we as adults have often lost. If we allow ourselves to learn from them, we will rediscover what it means to live simply, to forgive easily, and to love without conditions. When a child asks questions, they are not challenging us, but searching for truth. How often do we silence them out of impatience, not realizing that every question is a doorway to learning? Their curiosity is a gift, and if we nurture it, we may raise thinkers who change the world. But if we shut them down, they may grow afraid to ask, afraid to explore, and afraid to believe in their own ability to discover. Encourage them to think, to question, to reflect, and to wonder, for these are the qualities that build innovation and wisdom. A child is sensitive to the atmosphere of a home. They notice the tone of our voices, the way we treat one another, the way we respond to challenges. If a home is filled with constant anger and shouting, they grow up thinking conflict is normal. If a home is filled with love and respect, they carry that into their own lives. The home is the first school, and parents are the first teachers. What lessons are we teaching without even speaking a word? It is not enough to provide food and shelter. A child needs time, attention, and affection. Too many are growing up surrounded by luxury, yet starved of love. They have gadgets, toys, and entertainment, but they lack the presence of a listening ear. A few minutes of sincere attention from a parent can outweigh hours of distraction. When you sit with them, put aside your devices. When you listen, look into their eyes. When you speak, let your words carry encouragement and warmth. That small effort today will shape their confidence for a lifetime. Children remind us of trust. Notice how a baby rests peacefully in the arms of a parent, completely unafraid, completely secure. That trust is natural, but it must be maintained. If we break that trust through neglect or harshness, we damage something fragile. A child must know that no matter what mistakes they make, they can come to us for support, not judgment. They must feel that their home is a place of safety, not fear. If they cannot trust us, they will seek trust elsewhere, and often that elsewhere will not protect them. Raising a child is not about controlling every step they take, but guiding them with values so strong that even when they are far from us, those values remain alive. Teach them honesty, compassion, humility, and perseverance. Teach them that true success is not in wealth alone, but in character. Show them how to respect those older and care for those younger. Remind them that serving others is not weakness, but strength. These lessons will outlive us and will continue to protect them when our arms no longer can. At times we may feel overwhelmed. Parenthood is not easy, and the challenges of raising children in today's world are immense. The influences of media, peer pressure, and societal expectations can be heavy. But remember, the Almighty never burdens a soul with more than it can bear. If you have been entrusted with a child, it means you have within you the capacity to fulfill that trust. You may stumble, you may fall, but your effort, your sincerity, and your prayers will not go unnoticed. A child also teaches us gratitude. When you see their little hands reaching for yours, you realize how much you have been blessed. When you hear their laughter, you recognize joy in its purest form. When they fall asleep peacefully, you feel a tranquility that no amount of money could buy. These are reminders that life's greatest treasures are not material but relational. Children pull us back to what truly matters, reminding us that our legacy is not in what we own, but in who we raise. Sometimes children with special needs come into our lives. These children are not less valuable, nor are they a curse. They are a different kind of gift. One that teaches us patience, unconditional love, and humility. They may not achieve milestones like others, but they bring a light and a perspective that others cannot. They soften hearts, they unite families, and they remind us that value is not in perfection but in presence. To care for such a child is to walk a path of extraordinary honor, and those who embrace it with love are elevated in ways unseen. It is important to remember that children do not choose the families they are born into. Whether rich or poor, stable or struggling, they arrive pure, innocent, and deserving of love. They should not be blamed for our frustrations, nor used as outlets for our anger. They deserve to be protected from harm, from abuse, and from neglect. The way we treat them will be remembered long after we are gone. Even if we provide little in material wealth, if we provide them with love, kindness, and values, we have given them everything. When a child looks at us, they see their world. To them, we are the standard of strength, of wisdom, of love. We may feel inadequate, but in their eyes, we are everything. That alone should inspire us to rise to the responsibility. It is not about being perfect parents, but about being present ones. It is not about knowing all the answers, but about walking with them as they search. It is not about never making mistakes, but about owning up to them and showing how to correct them. Every generation is a bridge to the next. The way we raise children determines the kind of society that will exist tomorrow. If we raise them with greed, the world will be filled with greed. If we raise them with compassion, the world will be filled with compassion. If we raise them with selfishness, society will crumble under selfishness. But if we raise them with fairness, kindness, and respect, they will carry these values far beyond our reach, shaping a future we may never live to see, but will surely benefit from. Children are also a test of our sincerity. It is easy to speak about kindness, but are we kind to them when no one is watching? It is easy to speak about patience, but are we patient when they test our limits? It is easy to speak about justice, but are we just when one child seems easier to love than another? The way we treat children reveals much about who we truly are. If we can be gentle with the weakest, we prove our strength. If we can be fair with the smallest, we prove our integrity. The presence of children in our lives should push us to become better. When we see them watching us, we should watch ourselves more carefully. When we hear them repeating our words, we should choose our words more wisely. When we notice them following our footsteps, we should walk paths worthy of being followed. This constant awareness is a blessing, for it keeps us mindful of our actions, our choices, and our legacy. My brothers and sisters, a child is not just a gift for today. They are a gift for tomorrow, for generations, and for eternity. They connect us to the future in ways we cannot yet comprehend. To raise them with love is to invest in the future of humanity. To neglect them is to rob the world of potential greatness. Every child you nurture, every child you encourage, every child you guide is a seed of goodness that may grow into a tree shading countless lives. A child is like a candle that can light countless other candles without losing its own flame. When you nurture one child correctly, you are indirectly nurturing a generation. That child grows into an adult, perhaps becoming a parent, a teacher, a leader, or an influencer in their own right. The values instilled in them ripple outward, touching lives you will never meet and shaping communities you will never visit. This is why the effort you put into one child is never wasted. It echoes far beyond what you see. Every moment spent with a child is an opportunity to plant seeds in their heart. Sometimes we think grand gestures are needed, but in reality it is the small, consistent actions that leave lasting impressions. A smile in the morning, A kind word after a mistake, a story before bed, or a simple prayer whispered for them can make them feel secure, loved, and guided. Children thrive not only on material provisions, but on emotional nourishment. They grow tall with food, but they grow whole with love. It is important to remember that children are watching us even when we think they are not. They observe the way we speak to others, the way we react when wronged, the way we handle stress, and the way we show gratitude. They may not always obey what we tell them, but they almost always copy what we show them. This means that the greatest gift we can give a child is not just advice, but a living example. If we want them to be kind, let us embody kindness. If we want them to be respectful, let us live with respect. If we want them to grow in faith, let us demonstrate faith in action. Children also remind us of hope in times of despair. When life becomes heavy and the world feels dark, a single laugh from a child can break through the gloom. Their innocence becomes a light, reminding us that no matter how troubled the present is, the future holds promise. Their dreams, their play, and their imagination show us that life continues to move forward and that we must not give up. They are symbols of renewal, proof that even after hardship, joy can still be found. Sometimes parents focus so much on correcting what is wrong that they forget to celebrate what is right. A child who hears only criticism begins to doubt their worth, but a child who hears encouragement learns to believe in themselves. This does not mean we ignore mistakes, but it means we balance correction with recognition. When they do something good, acknowledge it. When they try, even if they fail, appreciate their effort. This builds resilience and motivates them to keep improving. The power of encouragement cannot be underestimated. It can transform a timid child into a confident soul. We must also guard against placing unnecessary burdens on children. They should not be forced to carry the weight of adult conflicts, nor should they be punished for circumstances beyond their control. Too often, children are caught in the middle of disputes, becoming silent victims of battles they never chose. Protecting their peace is part of our responsibility. They deserve a childhood free of unnecessary worries, a space where they can laugh, dream, and grow without fear. It is also essential to respect the voice of a child. Too often we dismiss their opinions thinking they are too young to matter. But by listening, we validate their feelings and teach them that their words carry weight. When they speak, let us pause and give them our attention. When they share their dreams, let us encourage them instead of mocking. When they express fears, let us comfort them instead of belittling. Respecting their voice today gives them the confidence to stand tall tomorrow. A child's heart is tender, and within it lies the foundation of their self-worth. If we fill that heart with love, kindness, and faith, they will carry those treasures wherever they go. If we neglect it, they may grow up searching for validation in harmful places. That is why it is not just about teaching them lessons, but about making them feel valued. When they know they are valued at home, they will not be easily swayed by the emptiness of the world outside. A child also tests our ability to sacrifice. How many parents have given up comforts, luxuries, and personal desires to provide for their children? How many sleepless nights? How many hours of labor? How many silent prayers have been offered for their well-being? This sacrifice is not a loss, it is an investment. Every act of selflessness for a child is rewarded in ways far greater than what was given up. The smile of a child, the success of a child, the prayer of a child for their parent is worth more than any wealth in the world. But we must be careful not to equate love only with material gifts. Showering a child with toys, gadgets, or money cannot replace genuine love and guidance. In fact, too much focus on material indulgence can harm them, making them believe that happiness is found in possessions rather than in values. True love is balanced. It provides enough for comfort, but never so much that it blinds them to gratitude. Teach them that happiness is not in what they have, but in who they are. Children also remind us of humility. They are not impressed by titles, ranks, or wealth. To them, what matters is whether we kneel down to their level, whether we listen to their stories, whether we join in their laughter. They strip away the masks we wear for the world and see us as we truly are. In their presence, all our pride becomes irrelevant. They teach us that greatness is not in being above others, but in lowering ourselves with love. Sometimes we may think that children are only learning from us, but in reality we learn as much from them as they do from us. We learn to laugh more freely, to forgive more quickly, to wonder more deeply, and to live more simply. They show us what it means to live in the moment, unburdened by the past and unafraid of the future. If we allow ourselves, they can teach us how to return to sincerity, to purity, and to gratitude. It is also important to remember that every child, no matter their background, deserves love and dignity. Orphans, abandoned children, and those growing up in hardship are just as precious. If life has placed us in a position to help them, then it is not just an opportunity, but an honor. Caring for a child who has no one else is among the noblest acts, one that earns blessings beyond measure. To extend love to a child who is not your own is to embody compassion in its purest form. The future of any nation lies in its children. If they are raised with wisdom, integrity, and compassion, that nation will flourish. If they are neglected, that nation will crumble. The strength of tomorrow depends on the upbringing of today. This means that raising children is not just a private matter, but a responsibility to the world. Every child we nurture with goodness becomes a contributor to a better society, a more just world, and a brighter future. When a child grows up and remembers their parents with love and respect, it is one of the greatest rewards a human being can receive. Imagine leaving behind a child who prays for you, who continues to carry your values, who speaks well of you even after you are gone. That is true success. The wealth we leave behind may fade, but the love and prayers of a child continue to reach us long after our time on earth has ended. A child is indeed a treasure wrapped in innocence, carrying endless potential. They enter our lives to soften our hearts, to teach us patience, to inspire our dreams, and to carry forward our values. To embrace them, to guide them, and to nurture them is one of the greatest acts of gratitude we can show to the Almighty. Every giggle, every tear, every question, and every dream they bring is a reminder of how profound this gift truly is. A child is a reminder that life continues, that the world still has beauty, that there is still reason to hope. When you hold a child, you are holding tomorrow in your arms. Every beat of their heart whispers that the story is not over, that no matter how heavy the past has been, there is always another chance to write a brighter chapter. The Almighty, in His wisdom, places these tiny souls among us to rekindle our faith in humanity, to remind us that goodness is not lost and that the world is renewed with every new generation. A child teaches us that love is not measured by words alone, but by actions. They watch how we interact with others, how we treat the elderly, how we respond to those in need. They learn compassion not because we lecture them about it, but because they see us living it. When we give charity, when we speak kindly, when we forgive those who wrong us, children absorb these lessons silently and carry them into their own lives. Every act of goodness in front of a child is like carving truth into stone. It will remain with them forever. A child also brings balance into our lives. Sometimes we become so consumed by our ambitions, by chasing wealth or recognition, that we forget to pause and appreciate the simple things. A child pulls us back. They remind us that laughter at the dinner table is more valuable than the finest banquet outside, that time spent together is worth more than money earned in overtime, and that the warmth of home cannot be replaced by the coldness of riches. They realign our priorities and bring us back to what matters most. Children have an incredible way of humbling us. You may be a leader, a scholar, or a person of influence, but when you return home and your child climbs onto your lap or tugs at your hand, none of those titles matter. In their eyes, you are simply their parent, their guardian, their safe space. They don't care about your status. They care about your presence. They strip away the illusion of importance and remind us that true greatness lies in serving with love. There is something profoundly spiritual about the way a child trusts. When they fall asleep in your arms, they do so without worry, without doubt. They surrender completely, knowing you will protect them. This is a lesson for us as well. Just as a child trusts their parent, we are reminded to trust our Creator, to surrender our fears, and to find peace in His care. Children are not only students of life, but teachers too, showing us truths we often forget. Sometimes we become impatient with children, forgetting that growth takes time. A plant cannot be forced to bloom by pulling at its leaves, and a child cannot be rushed into maturity by pushing too hard. They need space to grow at their own pace, with encouragement rather than pressure. If we try to control every aspect of their journey, we may suffocate their potential. But if we nurture gently, providing support and guidance, they will surprise us with their strength and resilience. A child's mistakes are not failures, but stepping stones. Each stumble is part of the process. Each misstep an opportunity to learn. When they fall, we do not abandon them. We pick them up, dust them off, and encourage them to try again. Life itself works the same way. The patience we show children when they fall should also be the patience we show ourselves and others. A child reminds us that perfection is not in never falling, but in always rising again. One of the greatest blessings of a child is their ability to soften hearts. Even the hardest person, the one who has been broken by life, can find themselves melting at the laughter of a child. Their innocence breaks barriers, heals wounds, and opens doors to reconciliation. Families divided often find unity again through the presence of children, for no one can resist the purity of their smiles. They bring people together, bridging gaps that years of conflict could not repair. A child is also a test of justice. Parents are reminded to be fair, to treat each child with equality, to avoid favoritism. Favoritism poisons hearts, plants seeds of jealousy, and damages sibling bonds. Fairness, on the other hand, builds harmony, trust, and unity. Each child, regardless of their abilities, deserves equal love and attention. True justice begins at home. And if we fail in justice with our children, how can we hope to establish it in society? Raising a child is not only about teaching them how to live, but also about preparing them for when we are gone. One day they will stand on their own without our guidance, without our protection. The values we instill today will be their shield tomorrow. If we equip them with faith, resilience, honesty, and compassion, they will walk confidently through the storms of life. But if we neglect them, leaving them unprepared, they will stumble and confuse. Iron when trials come. Every lesson we give today is a lantern lighting their path for tomorrow. Children remind us of the importance of forgiveness. They make mistakes every day, breaking things, saying the wrong words, forgetting instructions, but they come back seeking love and acceptance. And we forgive them, not because they never did wrong, but because our love is greater than their mistakes. This is how we should also treat others in our lives. Forgive easily, love deeply, and remember that everyone is learning, just as a child learns. The presence of a child in a community should awaken responsibility in all of us. It is not only the duty of parents, but of neighbors, teachers, and society at large to create an environment where children can flourish. A child should not fear walking to school, should not face hunger, should not be denied education or dignity. When we protect and nurture the children of our communities, we protect the future of all. But when we fail them, the entire society pays the price. A child is also a source of unimaginable joy. Their first words, their first steps, their first achievements bring tears of happiness to the eyes of parents. These moments remind us that happiness is not always found in grand accomplishments, but in the simple milestones of growth. They teach us to celebrate progress, no matter how small. If we can learn to cherish these little victories, we will find joy in every stage of life, just as parents find joy in every stage of their child's growth. Yet with joy also comes responsibility. To love a child means to protect them not only from external dangers, but also from internal weaknesses. We must guide them to control anger, to manage jealousy, to overcome selfishness. These seeds of character must be planted early, or else they grow wild and harmful. Teaching a child discipline is not cruelty. It is kindness, for discipline shapes them into adults capable of managing their lives with wisdom and strength. Child's imagination is also a gift. Watch them play, invent stories, and build worlds out of nothing. This creativity should not be silenced but encouraged. Through imagination, they learn problem-solving, innovation, and resilience. When they pretend to be explorers, builders, or leaders, they are practicing skills they may one day use in reality. Rather than dismissing their play as meaningless, we should recognize it as the foundation of future possibilities. Sometimes raising a child feels overwhelming. The sleepless nights, the constant worries, the sacrifices that seem endless can weigh heavily on parents. But these struggles are temporary, while the rewards are eternal. The bond formed through these sacrifices becomes unbreakable. The memories of rocking them to sleep, of comforting them in sickness, of guiding them through fears will remain treasures in your heart forever. Every hardship endured for a child is transformed into joy the moment you see them succeed, the moment you hear them pray for you, the moment you witness them becoming people of goodness. A child is also a test of gratitude. Will we appreciate this gift, or will we take it for granted? Will we recognize the privilege of parenthood, or will we see it as a burden? Gratitude changes everything. When we are grateful for our children, we treat them with love, patience, and care. We cherish every moment, even the challenging ones, because we know this is a gift many long for but do not have. Gratitude turns sleepless nights into cherished memories and daily struggles into opportunities for growth. My brothers and sisters, a child is among the most profound gifts life can offer. They hold within them the potential to shape the future, to change the world, to carry forward our values and our prayers. To hold them, guide them, and love them is to be entrusted with a treasure beyond measure. Every moment with them is a reminder of the mercy of the Almighty, a reminder that hope is alive, and a reminder that we have been chosen to carry a sacred responsibility